Keanu Reeves' recent career renaissance has been nothing short of breathtaking. I mean, the guy could play any role. Whether he's playing an omnipresent tumbleweed in a family-friendly flick like Spongebob, or a stone-cold killer in the John Wick series, there's absolutely no stopping the immortal Keanu. So when it comes time to think about The Matrix 4, it makes perfect sense that death can't even stop him.
No way!
Yes way.
We've searched through all the cache data and have compiled a few shocking ways that could explain how Neo cheats death in the forthcoming sequel to The Matrix. The Oracle has been a massively overlooked character so far. As her name suggests, she's able to predict the future. This is done through a mixture of pure hope and intense calculated odds. She's kind of like the r/Wall Street Bets of film. In The Matrix, she predicts that Trinity's true love kiss will bring Neo back to life. Lo and behold, that occurred. In the trilogy's finale, when she's asked about Neo's return, she states,
I suspect so. Someday.
Which is an odd statement to make, as when she's saying that, the sun is literally rising. This would infer that she knows that a future war is to be had and will once again require the assistance of the One. The Matrix exists as a joint venture between the Architect and the Oracle, so she certainly has the power to do something like bring back Neo's residual self image. But how? Let's flash back to the first Matrix, where she's baking Neo cookies. An odd detail, maybe a little too odd?
You gave me cookie, I got you cookie, man!
Cookies in the computer world are a small bit of recorded information about the user. As we see in the scene, Neo accepts the cookies, allowing for this potential body save. If he's backed up in the Matrix as a result of this, all Oracle has to do is load up a cloud save of him and he's back. The Matrix wasn't all that slick with its allusions to the story of Jesus. Beginning with the idea of the Divine One coming to save all, leading to a crucifixion like death to purge the metro world of sin, the references have been pretty heavy-handed, and each iteration of the series introduced more and more references to the Second Testament. So when you consider the return of Neo in a sequel, perhaps it could be tied into the resurrection of Jesus.
Christ didn't come to Earth to give us the willies. He came to help us out. He was a booster.
I mean, the entire idea of the second coming started from the Bible. So how did Jesus come back? I mean, God sent him down, and that was that. So maybe Neo literally just shows up through the aid of the Architect. It doesn't lead to that interesting of an explanation, but considering how convoluted that the Matrix sequels were, I wouldn't be surprised if Neo just walked through a door like,
But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back!
There's also quite the message that could be learned from a physical revival. One of the reasons that Jesus' physical resurrection was so important in the Bible was that it showed the importance of one's material self. He could have come back as a ghost, or in the case of Neo as a digital being, but by physically showing up, it helps demonstrate the Matrix's lesson about how important the real world is. In a time where we are glued to our digital personalities, a message about real human connection is pretty important, and it's something that I think Lana Wachowski would want to cover. It's a bird! It's a plane! Oh wait, it's Neo going insane? Another one of the characters Neo gets compared to throughout the film series is Superman.
He's doing his Superman thing.
In the Justice League, we saw Superman return, but as an evil figure. What was that famous DC quote again?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Well, why not both? Last time we saw Neo, his body was within the hands of the machines. Considering that Neo is basically a walking cheat code in the Metro world, it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to consider the machines reviving Neo to aid in their evil bidding. After all, with Agent Smith seemingly being dragged into the trash can, there's a desperate need for the rest of the returning agents to have a new leader. We know that the reason there's finally peace between worlds is because of the truce made by Neo. All the machines would have to do is use Neo's body as a puppet to renegotiate the contract, ultimately giving the machines unlimited power, while also having one heck of a powerful enforcer. Perhaps we should also have a look at the potential setup from the canonical sequel to the Matrix film series, The Matrix Online. The MMO featured a plot point where Morpheus was campaigning to get Neo's body back. In fact, he died trying to complete this mission. The game was short-lived and was cancelled before the quest could be fully played out, leading to not much of a resolve. Nevertheless, we have a theory about why the body would be needed and where it could fit into the timeline of the film. If the Zionists have the RSI of Neo, aka the Residual Self Image containing his digital brain, perhaps they found a way to implant that back into a seemingly lifeless body, leading to the resurrection. Yeah, as you probably figured, that's pretty much the plot of Cyberpunk 2077, what with the whole taking Keanu's brain engram and putting it back into the body. Sure, the concept is pretty out there, but keep in mind, the entire Metro world and simulation ran off of floppy disks. In the Matrix timeline, there's been 2 decades worth of inventions and innovations available to allow for some pretty sci-fi tech. We should note that the first trilogy is studied in philosophy classes due to the script's adaptation of Cartesian dualism regarding the separation of the body and the mind. This conversation is surely needed to be had once again with the upcoming prospect of Elon Musk's Neuralink.
I think it's gonna blow your mind.
Which could potentially see users upgrade their mind and bodily functions from a digital chip. This is a pretty heavy concept, and one of the good things about the sci-fi genre is it allows people to discuss future possibilities in the lens of a fictional film. I mean, to be less philosophical, everyone loves a good heist film, so if the movie were to open with a heist-like action scene where the humans are tasked with retrieving Neo's body, that could lead to one epic film introduction. One of the most ironic things about The Matrix is Neo being called the One. As we know, he's actually the 6th incarnation of the Prophet.
Accounting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th.
So with that in mind, there's a potential 5 other Neos out there, meaning that the Neo that we see returning in this movie may not actually be the one we followed in the first trilogy.
Whoa.
After all, what's been described about the past iterations is that they chose to reset the Matrix and not much more. So really, they could all look like Neo, but leading completely different lives, with completely different personality traits. We've already seen Agent Smith create a billion of himself, so maybe it's Neo's time for some clone action. This would lead to a potential switch up from Keanu's performance and open the door to a whole slew of possible opportunities for the story to follow, rather than a simple war against the machines. Alright, let's get a little bit crazy now. Maybe Neo isn't actually coming back. Hear me out here. I've been talking about all the ways Neo is reinstalled, but I never mentioned Trinity's return. As you know, she too happens to be quite lifeless by the end of the series, and most of these theories don't pertain to how she would return. By the end of the war, the pair end up being martyrs for the cause and would seemingly go down in history as legends. Their image would evoke trust and hold a godlike reputation. So what if a rogue virus goes out of their way to digitally recreate the pair in the Metro world? If the duo returned and the world accepted their revival, the citizens would surely follow their every command. This is an extraordinarily powerful ability and one that a villain would have a field day abusing. Picture a Skrull-like revival where by the 3rd act, after instating regime-like commands, the duo reveal their true selves as an evil pair. That would be pretty sinister. It's also culturally relevant as we are living in a time where celebrity image is paramount and stars are treated like kings.
The only stars that matter are the ones you look at when you dream.
It could lead to a strong message about knowing who to trust and being able to separate one's acclaimed work from their ideologies. I never mentioned time travel here, as Keanu Reeves has gone on the record in saying that there is no going back to the past in this movie. But if we were to go back, how cool would it be to see the origins of the Metro world and all the science that went into building a simulation? It could be like a Stanford prison experiment, but for tech.